Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into some of the strangest and most mysterious criminal cases in US history. Like, these cases are seriously messed up, and they've baffled investigators for years. People still talk about them today, trying to figure out what really happened. So, get ready to have your mind blown because we're about to explore some seriously creepy stuff. Let's get started. Alright, so picture this. It's 1969, the summer of love, right? The air is filled with the scent of freedom, music, and the spirit of rebellion. People are gathering in parks, sharing their dreams of a better world, and the counterculture movement is at its peak. It's a time when everyone believes that love can change the world. Everyone's all about peace and love, but then this dude, Charles Manson, comes along and flips the script. He disrupts the harmony with his dark and twisted vision, casting a shadow over the bright ideals of the time. Manson, he wasn't your average dude. He had this intense charisma, a magnetic personality that drew people in. He could talk for hours, weaving intricate tales that captivated his listeners. But beneath that charm was a deeply disturbed mind. He had this whole cult following called the Manson Family. These weren't just random people. They were young, impressionable individuals searching for meaning in a chaotic world. Manson offered them a sense of belonging, a twisted sense of purpose. They believed all this crazy stuff he said, like he was some kind of prophet. He preached about an impending apocalypse, a race war that he called Helter Skelter, inspired by a Beatles song. His followers hung on his every word, convinced that he held the key to their salvation. And get this, he called an upcoming race war Helter Skelter. He believed it was his destiny to ignite this chaos and emerge as a leader in the New World Order. It was a delusion that would lead to unimaginable horror.
I was obsessed with this idea, and I wanted to kickstart it myself. I thought that by committing these heinous acts, I could trigger the race war and fulfill Manson's prophecy. So I ordered my followers to commit these brutal murders. We planned everything meticulously, believing that our actions would change the course of history.
The most famous one, the one that still freaks people out today, was the murder of Sharon Tate. It wasn't just a murder, it was a gruesome spectacle that shocked the world. She was this beautiful actress, married to the famous director Roman Polanski, and she was 8 months pregnant at the time. Her life was full of promise, and she was on the brink of welcoming a new life into the world. Manson's followers broke into her house in Los Angeles and, brutally murdered her and 4 other people. It was a bloodbath. The sheer brutality of the crime left everyone in a state of shock and disbelief. The police, they were completely shocked. They had never encountered anything like this before. The scene was so horrific that it left even the most seasoned officers reeling. They'd never seen anything like it. The level of violence, the senselessness of the act, it was beyond comprehension. It was a crime that seemed to defy all logic and humanity. Eventually, they tracked down Manson and his followers, and they were all arrested. The investigation was intense, and the public was gripped by the unfolding drama. Manson and some of the others, they got sentenced to life in prison. The trial was a media sensation, with every detail of the gruesome crimes laid bare for the world to see. But the whole thing, it just left this dark cloud over America. The nation was in mourning, grappling with the loss of innocence and the realization that such evil could exist in their midst. It was like the end of innocence or something. The Manson murders marked a turning point, a moment when the idealism of the 1960s was shattered by the harsh reality of human darkness. It was a wake-up call, a reminder that even in times of peace and love, there can be shadows lurking just beneath the surface. Okay guys, this one still gives me chills. The Zodiac Killer, this is like the ultimate unsolved mystery. Imagine this, it's the late 1960s in Northern California, and couples are getting attacked and killed, seemingly at random. But here's the really creepy part. The killer, he starts sending these letters to the newspapers. He calls himself the Zodiac, and he includes all these cryptic messages like ciphers and symbols. He's taunting the police, bragging about the murders.
I claim to have killed like 37 people, but the police could only link me to 5 for sure.
He was super smart, always one step ahead of the cops. They had a few suspects, even came close a couple of times, but they could never pin it on anyone. The case went cold, but people still talk about it today. I mean, think about it. This guy, he could still be out there. Creepy, right?
Chapter 3. The JonBenet Ramsey case, what really happened?
This case, it's like a real-life nightmare, especially for anyone who has kids. Imagine waking up on Christmas morning expecting joy and laughter, only to be plunged into a horror story that no parent should ever have to face. So it's Christmas Day, 1996, in Boulder, Colorado. The town is blanketed in snow, festive lights twinkle on every corner, and there's a sense of peace and joy in the air. But for one family, this day would become a living nightmare. The Ramsey family, they're like this picture-perfect family, right? John and Patsy Ramsey, along with their two children, Burke and JonBenet, seem to have it all. They live in a beautiful home, they have a loving family, and they are well respected in their community. They have this adorable 6-year-old daughter, JonBenet, who's a beauty pageant contestant. She's the kind of child who lights up a room with her smile, and she's won several titles in local pageants. Her photos show a little girl full of life and promise, but then their world gets turned upside down. In the early hours of December 26th, Patsy Ramsey finds a ransom note on the stairs. It's a moment that would shatter any parent's heart. They find a ransom note demanding $118,000 for JonBenet's safe return. The note is long, detailed, and chilling. It claims to be from a small foreign faction and warns the Ramseys not to contact the police. The parents, they're freaking out, obviously. They call the police immediately, despite the note's warning, and the house quickly becomes a chaotic scene of fear and confusion. But then hours later, they find JonBenet's body in the basement of their house. It's a discovery that no parent should ever have to make. The little girl who was supposed to be safe and sound is found lifeless, hidden away in her own home. She'd been hit on the head and strangled. The brutality of the crime is shocking, and it leaves the family and the community reeling. How could something so horrific happen in their own home? The police, they messed up the investigation big time. From the very beginning, there were critical errors. They didn't secure the crime scene properly, and they let people in and out of the house, contaminating potential evidence. They didn't secure the crime scene properly, and they let people in and out of the house. Friends, family, and even the family's pastor were allowed to roam freely, which compromised the investigation from the start. Suspicion fell on the parents, which is just heartbreaking, but they were eventually cleared. The media frenzy that followed painted them in a negative light, and they were scrutinized endlessly. Every move they made was analyzed and criticized. To this day, no one knows who killed JonBenet. The case remains unsolved, and it haunts everyone who has followed it. Theories abound, but the truth remains elusive. Some people think it was an intruder, others think it was someone closer to the family. Theories range from a botched kidnapping to a tragic accident covered up by panic. Each theory has its own set of supporters and detractors. It's one of those cases that just sticks with you, you know? The unanswered questions, the tragic loss of a young life, and the enduring mystery make it a case that continues to captivate and horrify people around the world. The JonBenet Ramsey case is a stark reminder of how fragile life can be, and how sometimes the truth remains just out of reach.
Chapter 4. The Disappearance of David Lewis, Gone Without a Trace.
Okay, so this one is seriously strange. David Lewis, he's just this regular guy on a business trip in Texas. He's driving home one day in 1974, and then poof, he vanishes. His car, it's found abandoned on the side of the road, but there's no sign of David. The police, they search everywhere, but they can't find any clues. It's like he just disappeared into thin air. Years go by, more than a decade, and then, get this, his remains are found hundreds of miles away in Colorado. But here's the thing, there's no obvious cause of death. No one knows how he died, how he got to Colorado, or what happened to him in all those years he was missing. It's like one big question mark. Did he get lost? Did someone take him? We may never know.
Chapter 5. The Amanda Knox Case. Guilty or Framed?
All right, this one is crazy. Like, international intrigue crazy. The Amanda Knox case captivated the world, drawing in people from all corners of the globe. It was a story that had everything. A young American student, a brutal murder, and a legal system that seemed almost foreign to many. So, Amanda Knox, she's this American student studying abroad in Italy, living the dream, right? She's in Perugia, a picturesque town known for its universities and vibrant student life. Amanda was there to immerse herself in the culture, learn the language, and experience life in a different country. But then, her roommate, Meredith Kircher, is found murdered in their apartment. Meredith, a British student, was also in Italy for her studies. The discovery of her body sent shockwaves through the community and quickly became an international news story. It's a brutal scene, and the police, they immediately suspect Amanda and her Italian boyfriend, Raffaele Solicito. The investigation was swift, and the media quickly picked up on the story, painting Amanda and Raphael in a sinister light. The case becomes a media frenzy, with everyone weighing in on whether Amanda is guilty or innocent. News outlets from around the world descended on Perugia, turning the small town into a media circus. Every detail of Amanda's life was scrutinized, and public opinion was sharply divided. The evidence against her, it's kind of shaky, but she's still convicted and sentenced to prison. The trial was filled with dramatic moments, and the prosecution's case relied heavily on circumstantial evidence and questionable forensic methods. But then, after years of appeals and legal battles, she's finally exonerated. Amanda's defense team worked tirelessly to prove her innocence, highlighting the flaws in the investigation and the lack of concrete evidence. The whole thing was a mess, with accusations of police misconduct and mishandled evidence. There were claims that the crime scene was contaminated, that evidence was improperly collected, and that the police were under pressure to quickly solve the case. Amanda, she always maintained her innocence, and in the end, she was cleared. Her release was a moment of relief for her family and supporters, but it also left many questions unanswered. But the case, it still sparks debate today. People continue to argue about what really happened that night and whether justice was truly served. The case has been the subject of numerous books, documentaries, and even a Netflix series. It makes you think about how easily someone can be wrongly accused, especially in a foreign country. The Amanda Knox case serves as a cautionary tale about the complexities of international justice and the potential for miscarriages of justice. It reminds us that the truth can sometimes be elusive, and that the court of public opinion can be as influential as the legal system itself. That's it! Which case freaked you out the most? Thanks for watching, everyone! If you found these cases as fascinating as we did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more intriguing content. See you next time!